so many islands getting hammered, many Americans who could not get out in time trying to ride out this hurricane. This satellite image tonight shows the eye of this Category 5 storm fully formed there. At this hour, Irma still tracking right toward Florida, but there are several other states now in the possible path. And I want to show you this tonight. This image coming in, that's the eye again, but in the middle there, that is the island of Barbuda. Authorities there late this afternoon reporting at least 90% of the buildings on that island could be gone now. ABC's Lindsay Janis is in the middle of it all. She leads us off tonight.
Tonight, Hurricane Irma tearing through the Caribbean, claiming at least 3 lives with ferocious 185-mile-an-hour winds. Irma pummeling the U.S. Virgin Islands, home to more than 90,000 U.S. citizens.
It is really ripping right now.
In St. Martin, the government says 95% of the island is destroyed, buildings shredded, even the airport damaged. A dangerous wave sweeping this person right off their feet.
We tried to stop the water, but it's flooding.
Lauren Mayo is one of 5 women on a fitness retreat trapped in her hotel.
We're on the 6th floor, so the flooding is kind of amazing because the wind and rain are just bringing it through the sliding doors.
Newlyweds Sarah and Scott Riggins locking themselves in the bathroom.
We've got the wind going about 100 miles per hour. You can really hear it outside, shaking the doors.
This image showing Barbuda right in the center of Irma's eye. The Prime Minister saying some 90% of the island's buildings are destroyed. Hurricane hunters inside Irma finding it's the first Atlantic Ocean storm ever to maintain winds of at least 180 miles an hour for this long.
It's 10 a.m. here in Puerto Rico, and Hurricane Irma appears to have arrived. We've got some very powerful winds, rain, and surf.
San Juan, a ghost town. The governor warning people not to go outside under any circumstances, saying the island has never seen a hurricane like this before. More than 1,000 in shelters.
We don't know what's going to happen. It's scary, and I pray for everyone that's out there don't want to leave their homes.
And Lindsay Janis joins us from San Juan, Puerto Rico tonight. Lindsay, we can see the effects right there behind you, and more than 500,000 without power there already.
Yes, David, the head of the power company says it could be between 4 and 6 months before power is restored to some of those areas. We are being told to expect sustained hurricane-force winds for at least a couple of hours tonight. There's also major concern about storm surge and flash flooding. It's going to be a long night. David?
What we experienced is like something you see in a horror movie. Persons were literally running from house to house, and we had cars flying over our heads. We had containers, 40-foot containers flying left and right. And the story that you're getting from most of the residents here is that the eye of the storm came just in time. Persons were literally tying themselves to their roofs with ropes to keep them down.
Last night was a horrible experience for me. My mom cried and my brother waked me up. I was frightened. I didn't know this was going to happen to me.
When the wind very real intense, we had to rescue a 3-year-old child, and that was one of experience that was really telling on us. We tell ourselves that, look, there's a child, we must go out. And while we were doing that, the roof of the fire station came off, put the men in more fear, but still that we know that we have a job to do, and we do it with all our might, knowing that it's our duty to serve this nation of Antigua and Barbuda, and we did it.
And that means today is all about preparation. The people who we've spoken to here on the ground have said, look, we're Caribbean people. We understand what it's like to have wind and rain, especially at this time of the year. But a Category 4 hurricane, that's a completely different beast. That's why the National Guard has already been activated. Schools are closed. More than 200 FEMA workers are already on the ground, and almost 500 emergency centers have been set up all throughout the island. Meanwhile, back in Florida, people are gearing up. We're having food and supplies and water. They're stocking up because authorities there say they can't afford not to be prepared for Hurricane Irma. All 67 counties there are under a state of emergency, and some people are taking a wait-and-see approach, deciding whether or not they're going to evacuate based on how close this hurricane comes. Meanwhile, many there are preparing for an event that's already been described as catastrophic and as life-threatening, and one that's barreling toward us as we speak.
And the National Hurricane Center is saying we're going to have a Category 5 for maybe a day or two. So watching this, the northern Leeward Islands, you're in trouble right now, unfortunately. We are dealing with a very strong, potentially dangerous storm moving your way. Then we watch Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, the Bahamas, Cuba, and there's the center of the storm. But I don't want people to pay attention to the center because there is the potential 5 days out that this moves south of that center or north of that center. But certainly right now, Florida Keys, South Florida, making your preparations now. Very warm water ahead of the storm. That's why the potential is there for it to maintain its Category 5 status for the next 24 to 48 hours. There's the computer models. Very good agreement until Friday. And then we start to see the trough that will potentially influence the storm coming from the north. And then we think making a right-hand turn. But again, we got to watch this because anything can happen 5 days out. I know Florida, you're in the crosshairs here. Gulf of Mexico, though, you need to be prepared. East Coast also needs to be prepared. One thing is for certain, Julie, this is a very dangerous storm that could potentially be deadly.